Hello everybody, this is Mary Catherine and welcome to my own little house. I hope you liked that little introduction video. That was from the Neuse River, which is about 15 minutes from our house. It's some big water, lots of sailboats, so beautiful. There's another river that's also very beautiful that's only about a half mile, quarter mile from our house, the Bay River. And I might be able to stick some footage at the end if I think about it, if I remember, of the Bay River as well. Well, this video is all about not spinning, but plying, which is an equally important skill if you want to make yarn from fiber. And it's kind of an underappreciated, undersung, under thought of and talked of skill that I want to focus on today. Now, I did get my red bats plied and everything. They are ready to knit with or whatever I want to do. The other thing that happened was, even though my two bobbins weighed almost identical, look how much extra single I got. This isn't a single, it's a double. I've plied it as well. So I want to talk about how I did that with a really substantial amount of single left over. Okay. The other thing I want to mention is that I've been thinking about what to do with this beautiful yarn, and the other yarn that also came from the red bats, but which was mixed with other colors as well. I am thinking that I might want to weave these two together. Perhaps use this as the warp and this as the weft so it'll stand out. Maybe even double this over. I really want this color. And make myself a drape. You can do a nice long rectangle and bring it together in such a way with a seam that it's like a poncho, but it's really pretty. I think I might be doing that this fall for this winter. So that's the thought so far. Okay, well, let me take you through the whole plying process. And if you're a spinner, especially if you're kind of a beginner, this might really be helpful for you. Now I'm looking right here to see how much twist, what is the angle of the twist. I'm looking for about a 45-degree or less angle. You don't want it tight like 90 degrees and you don't want it to be straight. Now I know that if it's less than 45 degrees up here, then it's going to be tighter down there a little bit. My left hand is keeping the two singles split up here so they don't merge together before I want them to. Keeping that little V window open, see that? Now on the first run down your bobbin when you're plying, it fills up really fast and you have to stop and adjust it pretty often. Yeah. Oh. Now, I did something. Yeah, I don't know. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. I've looped my plied yarn around this hook and it wouldn't feed on. Now the squeaking you hear is my tension, and I have to make sure that my tension is not too tight. If it's too tight, it just wants to yank it on and it doesn't have time, doesn't allow time for the twist to happen. It doesn't allow time for the wheel to kick into its groove and really start spinning. It can be very frustrating to get started from a stop if your tension is too tight. So that's why I was testing that. I've got some nice give in my tension, but it's enough to pull it in. I apologize for the noise in the background. That's a dehumidifier running and my air conditioner. Trying to keep the house comfortable. Plying seems like it should be the simplest thing in the world, and it's not hard, but you do, after all of your hard work spinning singles, it's important to get the plying right, or you can end up, after all that work of spinning, you can end up with a yarn that is too tightly plied or has almost no ply and falls apart. And that's very discouraging for a spinner. So take your time when you're plying. Don't be satisfied if your wheel is grouchy and misbehaving. Work out the tension. Work out just the right tension. If you end up with a thick spot in here, I don't have many thick spots. If I come to one, I'll do this, but you can keep your yarn apart and you can kind of make the V happen at the thick spot to make sure that you get the thinner yarn wrapped well around the thick fluffy part. Well, here's one right there. So I'm gonna just stop right there and make sure that it wraps around it, because those fluffy spots are kind of no fun to look at in your finished yarn. They happen to all of us, and I'm not going to worry about it. My hand may be getting in the way. Maybe I should do it with this hand. Is that better? Maybe you can see better there. It doesn't take long for that 45-degree angle, and I'm talking about the plying line that you see between the two singles when they wrap around each other. All right, that's probably enough of me yapping on. And it's about time for me to slide my slider down. If my singles were two different colors, you would be able to see the angle of the ply better. The other thing is that you really want to maintain the tension on your, oh, there's a nice big fat something, on your plied yarn as it goes in. Don't let it just go flying in and become loose. You want to maintain that tension. And once you get your rhythm down and you know what your singles feel like, as you run your fingers down them like that with your little pinch, you can feel if there's anything untoward. But if you've spun consistently, you won't find that, and you don't even have to watch while you ply, because you get into a rhythm of how long you want to wait up here at the top to let the twist go in. So I pull it up and I go 1, 2, 1, 2. This means that while you ply, you can watch a video. You can also sit upright, which is so much better for my back, and I don't have to worry about hunkering over my spinning wheel and hurting my back. You also want to maintain a gentle but firm tension on your yarn as you put it onto your niddy noddy to maintain the twist tension that you put onto it as you plied it. Nice and smooth, running your fingers over the yarn. I do think that just running your fingers like this, these two fingers over the yarn as you put it on the niddy noddy, starts the process of just gently felting the fibers together, bonding the two singles into a sturdy double. Well, this is the first time that I really get to look at large swaths of this yarn next to each other. Now you can see there's one there that's not plied very tightly, but almost all of it. And that may be close to an end, which might be the reason why. But I'm pleased that I don't have a whole lot of those big fluffy spots. Like there's one. But I don't have much of that going on. I'm pretty pleased. And how balanced is my twist? That's not bad. There's hardly any super twist in that, just a real gentle turn. So this should end up being a good hank. Immediately after steaming, it has absolutely no twist in the hank. It hangs straight down. All right, now I'm going to thwack it and let it dry. Now let me catch you up. This second bobbin is very, very full. This is the plied yarn, and it is, I mean, look at that. It is on top of the edge down there and almost down here. Now let's look at the two bobbins. This one is almost empty. Look at that. And this one still has quite a bit to go. Now those two single bobbins were within 2 grams of weight of each other, remember? But they didn't end up being that way in length, and that's because I evidently spun the second bobbin of single quite a bit thinner, and so there's just more of it on there, even though it weighs very close to the same. So I'm going to have some left over, and I'll need to do a bracelet ply, and I don't think I can fit it on this plied bobbin, so I think I may have to stop here any minute and do the rest of that single on its own on a separate bobbin. Now when we talk about a balanced spin, and I hope you can see this, here's my single. And because there is red and yellow there, I hope you can see the angle, the slant of the single. This is just the single, not the plied yarn. And I hope you can see how when I spun that and the different colors went in, that's the angle of the twist. If that line that separates the yellow from the red, if that line were not a 45-degree line, but were more of a straight across, like a horizon line, then this would be over twisted. The single would be over twisted, and I would be getting little pigtails and stuff. If that line were more up and down, like a vertical line, then it would be under twisted. Now, to have a balanced spin, what you want is when you ply your yarn, let me see if I can get this to come into focus. You also want for that line between the two singles now in applied yarn, you also want for that line to be about 45 degrees, but notice it's going the opposite way. And that's where the balance is. You need to have the twist in the single go one way, the twist in the plied yarn go the opposite way, and they need to be at the same type of angle. A 45-degree angle, in my opinion, is best. Lucy is fascinated with my nitty knotty. She is just watching me take this yarn off of this. Hey, Lucy. Now, I know that I've talked about bracelet plying before, so I'm not going to go into great detail. I've got some single left over, a significant amount. And what I want to be able to do is ply it together, which means I need this end down here, and I need the end that's buried at the bottom of that single down there. I need to put those two ends together and start plying. I need to put them together and tie them to the loop that goes onto this bobbin, so I can spin them together, apply them together. And so I need to get this yarn, that single, off of there so I can reach the end that's on there. But I need to do it in such a way that it doesn't get tangled up and stays orderly. That's what this is, okay? It's just a loop that I make sure that the way that I do it, it goes over top of my two middle fingers so that I can slip it off of there later and put it onto my wrist as a bracelet. But I also need to keep this end available, really easy to get out, and I can easily slip it out of there because I'm going to need for it to be able to, this needs to be able to pull out of the bracelet, not just this end, that end as well, both easily at the same time, simultaneously. So that's what a bracelet ply is about. I put it on my hand. If you had any other way of doing it, I thought, could I put it on my nitty knotty? Is there any way I could put it onto some other thing? But if you put it onto a bobbin, one end is going to get buried. It won't be any different than that. And if you put it onto your nitty knotty, I think it might slip off. Not sure. Now that is a big leftover single. Okay, see how it's over top of these two middle fingers? Now I'm going to reach in there, pull those fingers out, and they have left available space. Now here's one end. Here's that buried end. I'm going to get my thumb free. See how this one pulls from the center? I'm going to get it down on my wrist. When you put it on your wrist, it allows you to do this and flip the yarn around. That's really useful when you're plying so that you can get it to still feed off. Now I would love to get this to come, there we go, from the middle. Where's that end? There it is. Okay. So I'm going to take these two ends and attach them to my leader on my bobbin, and then I'm going to ply off of here. And now, on to the next spinning. Well, I hope you enjoyed all of that, and I'll see you next time at my own little house.